Let's welcome our next reader, Sheila, and she's from Afghanistan.
Assalamu alaikum. بعد از ظهر شما بخیر. I said, hello, good afternoon everyone. My name is Sheila. I came from Afghanistan. I have been here for 7 months. My story is entitled Finding the Gate. In Afghanistan, I was a women's rights activist and worked a non-profit, non-governmental organization that empowers women. Afghan women suffer from violence, discrimination, and child marriage. A dispute between the men of families is sometimes resolved by giving a girl as a gift. I have raised my voice for women's rights through TV channels and advocated by working with foreigners. On 15th of August 2021, I was in my office in Kabul. As usual, I checked social media and saw a post saying that Taliban had entered the city. Everyone was shocked. I left my office. The streets were full of cars and people hurrying to reach a safe place. Usually it took me less than 1 hour to get home. But with Taliban gunshots and locked streets, it took 5 hours. I did not know what to do or what would happen to my family. The Taliban were going door to door, looking for activist women like me. Most of our neighbors were Taliban or Taliban sympathizers. My children were scared and said the Taliban would find us and kill all of us. I felt guilty. Their lives were in danger because of my work. After 4 days of hiding at home and worrying that Taliban were going to come through the door, I received an email from the Canadian government. They knew about me because my work was partly covered by a Canadian fund. Also, a week earlier, I had filled out a form saying I would like to immigrate to Canada. The email asked me, my younger son, and his pregnant wife to go to the airport that same day. But it did not mention my other son, his wife, his baby, and my husband. I did not know if leaving my family members was the right or wrong decision. The three of us put our essentials in 3 suitcases and drove toward the airport. Thousands of people rushed in the same direction. We had to get out of the car and go by foot. My flat leather shoes were good for walking. As we got closer to the airport, there were Taliban who beat people, shot guns, and threw tear gas. People fled. We went back home. That night, I received another email from the Canadian government. It directed me to try another gate in the early morning. So we did. It was even more crowded, but there was no gunfire or beating. Afraid that my daughter-in-law and her baby would be harmed, my son and I wrapped our arms around her. Many times I felt like I was dying from the pressure of the crowd. We were there until 2 p.m. Again, we went back home. My body was covered with small burst blood vessels and bruises. The third time we tried another gate. The Taliban fired guns constantly. I didn't allow anyone to get close. Again, we went back home. At 10 p.m. that night, someone called from the Canadian government and told me how to enter the gate that night. He said I should carry a red scarf to shake and yell my name when I saw a person with Canadian flag wearing a military uniform. We tried again. Carrying our suitcases in the rush of people had become impossible. We left them at home. I just took a backpack in which I put my laptop and my pajamas. We had no money because the banks closed when the Taliban took over. I thought it was our last chance because my daughter-in-law was suffering so much. I squeezed and forced my way to the front, waved my scarf, and reached the Canadian Army. I told them that my son and his wife were back in the crowd. The army called them by loudspeaker and asked people to let them through. We all made it to the Canadian military camp inside the airport. We spent 2 nights there. There was no comfortable place to sit or sleep and no halal food, so we couldn't eat. Finally, we got on a military aircraft with no seats. 600 people were on one aircraft. Everyone had to kneel. We kept being told to move forward to keep room for others. Again, my son and I tried to create space for his wife. After 6 hours, we landed in Kuwait, and then, without a stay, we traveled to Germany and then to Canada. We were given food in the flight from Kuwait to Germany: boiled eggs, pancakes, and French fries. We ate in a hurry. When we finished, we sat in silence, looking into each other's eyes. Our tears began to flow. On 23rd of August 2021, I landed in Toronto, wearing my flat leather shoes. I was in trauma, just crying and not sleeping and worrying about my family who had to remain. I felt that I left half of my soul in my country. I was not comfortable. After a month, we chose to settle in Calgary. We were resettled into a house which is completely different from my house in Afghanistan. Here I have a big house with 3 floors. But in this small house in Canada, I feel peace. I feel safe. I am hopeful that my rest of family will find a way to get to Canada. Calgary is a very cold place, but there are no suicide attacks, no explosions, and no gunfires. There are human rights and equality. 2 months after my arrival in Calgary, I started a job at Calgary Catholic Immigration Society, CCIS. Instead of my flat shoes, I wear winter boots. showing that Afghan women are adaptable. We don't give up. We have the right to enjoy life and be happy. Thank you for being here. Thank you.